Most businesses fail because they have no real command structure, no clear execution model, no ability to adapt under pressure. And that's exactly why they bleed money, lose opportunities, and remain stuck in cycles of mediocrity. In this video, I'm going to show you how military-grade mission execution, yes, the same frameworks used in combat and high-risk operations, can transform the way your business operates, scales, and dominates in any industry. And I'll prove it by breaking down the exact 12-step mission execution process that elite forces use. And it's mapped out in a system so effective that businesses who apply it gain almost an unfair advantage over their competitors. By the end of this video, you'll understand why companies who lack this structure crumble under stress, and why those who implement it experience growth, efficiency, and precision like never before. And if you've never heard from me and you've never watched any of my content, my name's Curtis Toffer. I'm an ex-Australian infantry army captain, deployed to Iraq in 2016 and transitioned out in 2018. And since then, I've been running a 7-figure coaching business, 95% automated, running in-person events for local service-based businessmen in Australia. And now I focus on helping those men be able to scale their businesses by deploying military precision systems to then step off the front-end efforts of their company so they can spend more time with their family unit and living the life on their terms. So, without further ado, let's get into the actual process. This process here, in terms of the military execution process, is a decision workflow and a tree. Phase 1 we're looking at the moment is the pre-mission planning, which is the preparation and intelligence gathering. So phase 1 is all about mission planning. This is why most businesses fail before they even start. So the first question you have to ask yourself is a mission likely? Or is there something that you're about to execute in your business likely? No? Okay. Maintain situation. Cool. If there is, you must then look to issue a warning order, which is our step 1 of the process. So planning is the single greatest determinant of success or failure. Military operations are never launched without thorough intelligence, strategy, and preparation. Businesses should be no different. So step 1 for us is looking to execute a warning order. Before you actually step off and before you execute, your team needs a heads up. You don't just drop a bombshell announcement on your people and expect them to perform. So a warning order ensures that key personnel are alerted before operations begin. This allows them to prep for intelligence gathering. This eliminates chaos and allows teams to prepare strategically instead of scrambling under pressure. So if a warning order is issued, then a CCIR is created to determine the mission critical intelligence. So a military example of this phase between step 1 and step 2 is before launching a major operation, commanders issue a warning order to all units, giving them 48 hours to prepare for deployment. This ensures that soldiers have time to check equipment, run final rehearsals, and also mentally prepare before they get orders to move. So a business application for step 1 would be a company planning a product launch issue. They would then look to, when they launch, issue this warning order to its marketing and sales team. This allows them to begin crafting a pre-launch content strategy, adjusting customer outreach processes, and ensuring all systems are operational before the official go order. So in this step, it is important for you to provide, through your warning order, early awareness to your team. Without it, your people will be caught off guard, leading to disorganization and missed opportunities. So every business ultimately must use this first step to ensure seamless transitions and avoid those rushed last-minute decision-making. So once a mission has or a task has been approved, you would then step into what we call the commander's critical information requirements. So before any mission or business move, You need to know what information is absolutely essential to success. You can't make informed decisions without data. We see it all the time. Businesses just making things up as they go along, making things up on how they feel. Commanders make data-based decisions. So if intelligence needs are defined, then what happens is an information or an intelligence requirement is then initiated. So you've generated your CCIR, your Intel team is then ready to gather information to then fulfill the request. They have then gathered all of the information. Now you're up to stage 3, which is the intelligence requirements. What has to happen from here is your Intel team or whoever you are wanting to conduct the research will then submit your information or intelligence requirement to you or to your leadership team. So a military example would be before sending a convoy through a hostile area, leadership defines its CCIRs. So where are the enemy forces located? What's the safest route? What are the enemy's likely tactics? Without these answers, the convoy, obviously, as you would expect, is at extreme risk. So a business application for this would be your company preparing to expand into a new market. You'd want to identify its CCIRs. Who are the main competitors? What's the price sensitivity of the market? What are the customer pain points? Without this information, the expansion is blind and likely to fail. So in this particular step here, in step 3, in this step, it's important for you to define what you absolutely must know before proceeding. Because without it, you risk making decisions blind that can obviously lead to failure. So every business must use this particular step to ensure that they have the right intel before making strategic moves. So once we've then got all the information, once you know what's critical, you determine how to gather that intelligence. So if intelligence collections is valid and you have then approved the information, you then step into step 4, which is our recon brief. So this is when a recon brief is initiated. If intelligence sources are insufficient, however, you then make your adjustments to your CCIRs and you go back all the way up to the top and then you then submit it again before proceeding. So a military example is before executing a night raid on a suspected insurgent forces hideout, you would gather the intelligence through aerial surveillance and recon, information reports, surveillance from drones to confirm enemy presence. What a business application for this would be is if you're considering opening a new store in a new city or a new location, you would run customer surveys, you would examine local economic data and you'd study competitors' foot traffic before deciding on a new location. So in this step, it's important for you to understand and ensure that you are gathering intelligence from the right sources, because without it, you will rely on assumptions instead of facts. Every business must use this step to ensure their strategies are based on verified data rather than guesswork. So once you've gathered all the right information, you then step into your recon brief, and this is step 4. This is where you conduct real-time intel validation. So now it's time to confirm whether our intelligence from step 3 to 4 is accurate. So this step is absolutely crucial because bad intel leads to bad decisions. So if recon findings are approved and you've assigned the right team to conduct the recon, they have gathered the information and then you have approved it, then a mission brief is then created. If, however, the recon is incomplete or inaccurate, then the team must repeat the recon or adjust the information requirements. So a military example for this would be a Marine recon unit infiltrates a village suspected of harboring insurgents. They're observing movement patterns and verifying previous intelligence before ground forces are deployed. So a business application for this would be, let's say you are interested in launching an ad campaign. You first test small budget ads to confirm the audience's interest and messaging effectiveness before you commit to large scale spending. So in this step, it is important for you to verify your assumptions with real world validation, because without it, you can fall into the trap of basing your actions on flawed or incomplete data. Every business must use this step to ensure that their decisions are rooted in tested and actionable intelligence, not just based on assumptions and how they feel. Once you've got all the information and the accurate data, you're then stepping into the fifth step, being mission brief. This is now where we are aligning the team before execution. So at this stage, once your brief has been complete, the plan is developed, but now it needs to be communicated clearly to those actually executing it. This is where a well-delivered mission brief ensures that every team member understands their role, the objective, and the contingencies. So a military example would be before, special forces would raid, the commander gathers all operators to go through the mission plan, outlining the target locations, expected enemy movement, and extraction points, right? We've all seen the movies. This ensures every soldier is aligned and prepared. So how does this then apply to your business? This application would look like if you were launching a new product, a startup potentially. This is now where you would look to hold an internal meeting where sales, marketing, and operations teams are briefed on their specific roles, key performance indicators, and ultimately what success looks like for the launch. So in this step, it's important for you to ensure all moving parts of your team are fully aligned before execution. Without it, will be disorganized, leading to ultimately, what would it lead to? Confusion, failure, and if there are gaps and objections identified, you need to revise it before obviously proceeding. So every business must use this step to get everyone on the same page and operating with clarity. So once you have that and everyone is in alignment, step 6 is now looking at executing the operations order. So the execution blueprint is ultimately the final detailed execution plan. So what it does is once you've approved it, it actually breaks down the roles, timelines, objectives, and contingencies and necessary resources to ensure a smooth execution. So a military example would be before launching a large-scale operation, battalion leaders would receive an OPORD, short for operations order, detailing mission objectives, the chain of command, logistics, and emergency contingency plans. So this would look in a business application setting, a project manager finalizing the launch strategy for a new product, assigning specific deadlines and responsibilities for the development, the marketing and sales team to ensure a smooth rollout. So in this step, it's important for you to establish, once the execution team has actually received the task has then been assigned, then it's important to then have clear execution plans with accountability, because without it, there will be bottlenecks, confusion, and a lack of direction. So every business must use this step to provide clear, structured operational guidance to all involved. If there is new intelligence that arises before you actually commence the execution, this is when you'd have to then conduct a frago, and we'll go through that in a second. But once you have actually assigned the tasks in the OPORD, then a battle brief is then scheduled for the execution alignment. So this is the final check, the last minute confirmation step before execution begins. This ensures everyone is mentally and logistically prepared to execute. So then you have held the battle brief. Then you will then look to review the final mission details before you then look to actually execute. So a military example for this would be minutes before breaching a compound, the squad leader would give a final brief confirming each soldier's position, objective, contingencies in case things go sideways. So a business application would be the day before launching a major advertising campaign, the CMO gathers the team to confirm ad budgets, split test variations, and key performance metrics. So in this step, it's important for you to do one final check before execution. If there is last minute intel changes to the execution parameters, then we'll then have to issue a frago, and I'll explain that in a second. But if not, and it's already aligned and ready, then a sit rep is set for live tracking. This is, I guess, this step's important because without it, you risk missing last minute changes that could alter the outcome. See, every business must use this step to ensure total readiness before execution begins. So then once you're actually though in the operation is in progress, we're now sitting in the execution and the adaptation phase. This is where we look at sit rep. And this is step 8. This is allowing us to navigate uncertainty. This is real-time situation reporting. So the situation report, or the sit rep for short, is a continuous status update system that keeps leadership informed of the mission progress. This ensures that issues are flagged and resolved before they execute. So a military example would be during a combat mission, troops provide sit reps every 30 minutes to report their status, enemy movements, supply levels. A business application would be a sales team submits a daily sit rep to leadership, providing updates on lead gen, client conversations, and revenue progress. In this step, it is important for you to have a structured reporting mechanism because without it, leadership operates in the dark. You're unable to make data-driven decisions. So every business must use this to maintain operational visibility. So during your situation reports, if their sit rep indicates that there are delays, threats, or deviations, what will then happen is then we then progress across to step 9, which is our BUBs, a battle update brief. So the BUB is used when changes or threats arise that require immediate attention. So it provides a structured way to reassess and adapt. So a military example is after a sit rep reveals unexpected enemy reinforcements, a BUB is then held to adjust the strategy and deploy additional units or maneuver. A business application would be if you were to encounter a major competitor launching a similar product, then obviously your leadership will then hold a BUB to analyze data and then pivot the marketing strategy. So in this step, it's important for you to regularly assess the threats, the delays and the deviations and changes in the landscape. Without it, your team will be blindsided and unable to respond effectively. Every business must use this step to maintain agility in the face of uncertainty. So if the risks are minimal, continue then in your sit rep when you're then moving forwards. If the tactical adjustments are needed, this is when we would then draft what we call a frago and assign it to the right key members. So step 10 is then adjusting strategy in real time. So a frago is issued when new intelligence requires changes to the execution plan. So a military example would be a mission to raid a compound shifts when drone intel shows the target has relocated. A frago is then issued to adjust objectives. The business application would be a digital ad campaign underperforms, leading the marketing team to issue a frago to shift budget and change messaging. In this step, it's important for you to have a system that allows rapid adjustments because without it, your teams continue down failing paths. Every business must use this step to pivot quickly and maintain strategic and advantages to their direction. So new assignments are made, then it would then update the sit rep to track new changes, and then you would continue rotating through your situation reports without changes until completion. So once we've gone through step 9 and 10, we're now at this position where we hit phase 3, which is our post-mission analysis and lessons learned. So in step 11, this is now our after action reviews. This is our lessons learned report. This is where we now have the opportunity, once a mission is complete, to capture insights from the mission or from the job or from the task, right? This is where we are then ensuring that successes are repeatable and failures are not repeated. So a military example would be After an operation, commanders review what went right, what went wrong, improving tactics for future missions. The business application for this would be a company reviews a major product launch, identifying what drove success and what needs refining for future rollouts. So in this step, it is important for you to document what you had learned. Without it, your business will continue making the same mistakes. Every business must use this step to improve efficiency and effectiveness, because the effectiveness of your business is based on what you have learned and what you then actually implement. So once then your lessons learned report has been drafted, you then identify the successful strategies that have emerged. You would then document that for future application. If the lessons learned are then finalized, what you'll then do is you'll then schedule a debrief. Now, this is step 12. You then look to conduct a debrief. This is where we then look to establish the refinement and future readiness of the company. So the final step is a structured discussion with all key players, ensuring that the key takeaways from that mission are integrated into future operations. This is where we will then have 3 effective sort of outcomes. SOPs require updates, which means we would then look to make the changes in ClickUp, because we automate this entire process for businesses that we work with. But then if it's manual, it's then what you would then put into your Google Drive or wherever your SharePoint houses all of your SOPs. Then your systemic issues are identified. Then you will then look to change above this decision tree your CCIRs and your IR frameworks to ensure that the issues are then rectified. And the last one would be, once all mission review points are addressed, then you've achieved a mission complete. So what would this look like in a military example? After a mission, all the soldiers would participate in an after-action review, which is a debrief session to discuss what worked and what we could do to refine future SOPs. A business application would be, let's say you have a large event and a company debriefs with all the departments to refine logistics marketing for the next event or for the next launch. In this step, I guess it's important for you to ensure that feedback leads to action, because not many business owners or business leaders actually sit with their team to review what went well, what didn't work well, and what we need to then refine moving forwards, but then to clearly actually document that to ensure that it is implemented for future use. So without it, or without this process on the back end, lessons are forgotten and mistakes are repeated. Every business must use this step to build a culture of continuous improvement. So I guess for me, the real reason you're stuck, and let's be real for a second, if you're watching this, there's a high chance that you're not where you want to be in your business or in your life. You're grinding, pushing, trying every new tactic, yet somehow you're still stuck. And this is exactly why. You've been operating without a structured execution system, because without clear intelligence, planning, and adaptability, you've been moving, but without direction, taking action, but without a proven process. And that's why you keep hitting walls, burning out, or feeling like you're just spinning your wheels. When elite military teams go into battle, they don't just hope for the best. They follow this exact process to ensure they are prepared for anything. That's what makes them effective under pressure. That's what allows them to execute flawlessly when others break down. And that's the difference between businesses that thrive and dominate and businesses that fail and disappear. So here's the deal. If you're done winging it, done trying to figure it out alone, and you're ready to execute like a real leader, DM the word command on Instagram right now. We'll talk about how to implement this in your business so you can stop playing small and start executing like the commander you were meant to be. And look, if you like this video, I'd love for you to like it, subscribe for the following videos that I'll post on this channel, and take what I have given you and execute now. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the other side.